We've got the servo horns set up on the elevator, and now we come to the stab. And here, as you notice, I've measured from one edge to the other side, front leading edge, back leading edge, or back edge, and measured across to find center. Found center, and then I stuck it inside the fuselage, and as you can see, I made little scribes with a pencil to the outside edge of the fuselage to find my cutting point, because we're going to cut off the portion of this in here. I'm going to leave just a little bit so that we can have a nice clean covering all the way to underneath the fuselage. So that's our next move. Okay, we're getting ready for the assembly of the stab here, and what we needed to do is we needed to find the center. So what I did is I took my metric ruler and I measured from, let's see, find myself here, out here on the leading edge or the outer edge, back towards the center, and the overall length. First of all, I got the overall length of it, cut it in half, and it ends up being 28.1. And so this is our center. So I put this in the center as best I could to estimate for the center here for where the stab is going to go. And so what I did is I just bring it on over here, and I put it in. And as I put it in, you can see my little marks that I've got on the top here now because I've already centered it. But I just gently move it on in there and bring it up to my lines. And as you can see right here and right here, there's little black Sharpie marks that I've made to make sure that I'm square here, and the same over on this side. So, but always, you know, once you measure and you've marked and everything, just come back and measure from outside to the edge of the fuselage and make sure from here to here is equal. The same for here to here is equal. They're both the same. And then come underneath in here and make sure your little dots, there's a little dot right up in there, you see it, and then up on the front there's a little dot. And the same way, to just make sure you're centered in there before you go and start cutting into your stab to mount it, to glue it in. So anyway, that's where we're at right now, and we're going to do some cutting in a minute, and we'll get back to this. Okay, since we've determined our center and our outer edges, what I'm going to do, it calls for us to come and cut out this section here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave probably about, maybe 2 millimeters in from the line, and then make my cut there. So I'm going to use my ruler, and let's see how many is 2 millimeters. Yeah, just about like that. Just because the wood that's coming underneath and on top here is just right about that thick. If you can see that, it's about that thick. And I'm going to just come about half of that, and I'm going to come in here and make my first cut. Just basically eyeball and see what that is. 2 millimeters should be just plenty. And then just come from up here, because it's not going to go all the way up to the tip. I just leave that upper part there, and then I'm going to come in. Be careful not to cut, they said in the instructions, not to cut the wood. So I come in, just score it really easy, and it looks like it's pretty good. Okay, we'll find out in a minute. And in the same way over here on this side, I'm going to come in just about 2 millimeters, and then I'm going to come and make another pass with my razor knife, my X-Acto knife, all the way to right about there. And then I'm going to cut this out, and then I'll get back to you in a second. Okay, so I've cut along those edges. I've peeled back this back. I'm going to leave this back part in here because none of this is going to touch any wood. So it'll look kind of finished and give it a finished look. This part right here, we just take it and score it along there, Make a nice even little lines across there. If you come to a place where it doesn't seem like it's cut far enough, just come in and just hit it with your knife just a little bit and just keep peeling on back. Up here at the leading edge, what I had to do is I just, it's hard to get a ruler across here, so I just free-handed it. But I'm going to leave this part right in here because when it comes up, it's not touching anything up in here as you're inserting the stab. This is the only part that's going to be touching on the top and on the bottom. So I'm going to keep peeling away here and peel on this side over here, come back and forth across and come across here, come down. When you make that connection, make sure that it's cut, that you made a connection in between this one, otherwise you end up peeling down here. And then just pull this up from this edge, come across like this all the way to that edge, and then again be careful as you're coming up to that edge, make sure it doesn't pull up, and then there you go. Alright, and basically we're going to do the same thing on the back side here, so we don't need to go through that. Next step we'll be getting to is when we glue this in, okay? Alright, be back in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to try another little trick that I learned when I used to patch surfboards. And one of the things is just taping off the edges like this, because we're coming to a place where we really don't have a way to glue except for sticking it in there and then gluing on the edges and then shoving it in. And I don't want to have a bunch of glue going all over the place, so I've taken some of this painter's tape. It's a real thin, it's called 2080 EL, and it's not like other blue tape like you'd get at Home Depot or something. It's a little lighter, little thinner, it's not as sticky, and so that way I'm hoping it won't pull up the covering on here. So I'm going to take it, put it in the airplane, and then I'll come back to you and show you what I got. Okay, as you can see here, I can take and just put it, I haven't put any glue in yet, but what I'm doing is just slowly sliding it in here to see if it'll fit in there, and sure enough it does. So I'm going to come back, bring back just about that much, put some glue in there, shove it on in. I'm going to do both sides. I'm going to put a little glue there, and then I'm going to flip the plane over, and I'm going to do the bottom. I'll do on one side, and then what I'll do is I'll push it out just a little bit over here. Glue will come out to this side onto the tape, but it won't go on the covering. And then I'll come back over on the other side and do the same, and then pull it all back in there, and hopefully we'll have enough glue there to get us in. And then, since it's 30-minute glue, we can sit back and adjust the symmetry of the stab here to get it completely lined up and center on the fuselage here. So anyway, I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, what I've done is I've taken about a good stick of glue and I've smeared it all along the edge here, up to the front and all the back, a little bit thin across the top because it's going to gather up and pool to the outer edge here. So anyway, I'm just trying to get off some of the extra here, and I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Okay, the glue is just about dry. It's still a little tacky, so I took off the other side, came out perfect. So I'm going to peel back the tape here and just leave a nice clean edge right along there. A little glob there, but nothing to worry about. Nothing that's going to... There. That came out really nice. And I'm going to flip it over and do the other side. And anyway, that was just a kind of an idea that I came up with from my surfboard days. So, hey, works on airplanes. All right.